I'm Dwight Drummond. Tonight, health officials in Alberta will soon start treating COVID-19 more like the flu. So, could similar changes happen here?
I think this is probably what the long-term outlook looks like for COVID-19, but it's a bit premature.
I don't think we should drop all of these things yet.
Those with a positive COVID test in Alberta will soon no longer have to isolate. The province will also end most contact tracing. We're asking whether Ontario could soon follow. Plus,
it's a process that we have to go through to ensure that public health and safety is the top priority.
this new park on the Scarborough-Pickering border looks ready for public use, so why are there no plans to open it anytime soon? And we're looking at the small change the city is making at a number of intersections that could produce big results when it comes to protecting cyclists. And Alberta began lifting several public health measures today. Close contacts of confirmed COVID-19 cases will no longer have to quarantine, and soon someone who tests positive for the disease there will no longer be required to isolate. The province is shifting its strategy to one that's more in line with the way it deals with the flu. So, could a similar approach to be on the horizon in Ontario? Dale Manukduk looks into that.
Some Torontonians were shocked to hear about Alberta's two-phase plan to remove what's left of their most effective public health measures in battling COVID-19.
I feel they're making a serious mistake.
I think it's a little early to do that. I think that we have to be cautious with the Delta variant.
Starting today, close contacts of confirmed cases in Alberta could go about their business, and contact tracers will investigate high-risk settings only. In their Phase 2, which will begin on August 16th, broad mask mandates will be lifted, isolation hotels and quarantine supports will no longer be available, and positive cases can also roam free.
We need to be looking at how we're going to live with COVID-19, and we cannot focus on it as the single most important risk.
The province acknowledged that cases will rise and confirmed that at least 84 people caught COVID-19 at the Calgary Stampede. While the timing of the announcement may seem premature to some, others believe this is the natural ending to the pandemic.
I think it's up to the province or the leader, really.
It looks like this thing's going to keep mutating and keep mutating and keep mutating, right? So it's going to end up like the flu.
More than 1.5 million people in Alberta are unvaccinated. That includes children under 12 who are still not eligible. Dr. Zane Chagla hopes Ontario doesn't pull its trigger on pulling back public health measures.
I think, in a few months' time, when we have more vaccines out there, when, we have some of our younger populations vaccinated, it's probably the time to start having this approach.
The province wouldn't say if they'll follow Alberta's lead, but says it will continue with the current masking policy as more indoor activities reopen.
Watching what is happening in the UK and Israel, when they lifted masking too quickly, they had to return to it. So we are going to continue with a pathway that keeps the vast majority of Ontario citizens safe.
The province says it's discussing loosening the threshold of 70% fully vaccinated for all public health units to move out of Step 3. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
Ontario's COVID-19 numbers taking a slight jump today. 218 new cases are being reported. That's the most on a single day in about a month. The 7-day average of daily cases is now at 165. 80% of Ontarians 12 and up have now had at least one dose of vaccine. That's another condition that has to be met in order to move past Step 3 of the province's reopening plan. The feds are pledging $132 million to build more affordable housing in our city faster through its Rapid Housing Initiative.
This funding will support the rapid creation of an additional 233 new permanent affordable housing units in the City of Toronto for the most vulnerable individuals, those who are experiencing precarious housing situations, those who are experiencing homelessness, and those who are at risk of experiencing homelessness.
The new units must be built within 12 months. The city says it is looking at options like vacant land for modular housing, hotels, and pre-existing buildings that need renovation to convert into new units. According to the city's website, there's currently a long waiting list for applicants for affordable housing, with wait times ranging from 7 to 12 years, depending on the size of the unit. For 10 years, a new Toronto park has been in the works. Bear Hill Park sits on the Scarborough-Pickering border. It includes 7 to 5 hectares of wildlife forests and new trails. But even though it looks ready for public use, there are no plans to open it anytime soon. Farah Morelli explains why.
Take a quick stroll through Bear Hill Park, and it's easy to see its natural beauty. It boasts panoramic views of Toronto's skyline. And you might even catch a glimpse of some local wildlife. But this park is behind closed gates, locked to the public.
Well, these things do take time. It's a process that we have to go through to ensure that public health and safety is the top priority.
The safety concerns center around this 60-meter-high hill. Several meters below the vegetation is a clay cap, and below that is mounds of garbage, because this was a former dump. So the city has to come up with a plan to monitor the emission of gases like methane.
As a closed landfill, solid waste was required to put a cap over all of the waste material, and that cap is anywhere from, it's about 1.5 meters thick.
But the park's closure hasn't stopped many from enjoying it. People routinely enter through the adjacent Rouge National Urban Park by cutting through the fence.
It's pretty nice. I like the trails at the back and everything.
I mean, it's an outdoor area. I don't see the point of it being closed.
With that, some are questioning why, 10 years on, this park still isn't officially open.
I'm sure there's a safety issue that causes people to pause, but for the stories I've heard of people walking the park, it's very safe, it's accessible for many different ages. Open the park.
In a statement to CBC News, the Ministry of Environment said, quote, levels of gas within the landfill are still very high, and if the gas is not discharged in a controlled manner, it will present a risk to the public accessing the site. It also says an inspection last year found toxic liquid seeping out, and the clay cap was damaged.
We're all working together, to ensure that the site is safe.
City staff acknowledged there's work to do, but they're hoping it can be officially opened by the end of this year, so the space can go from hidden treasure to public park. Farah Morelli, CBC News, Toronto.
One ballpark in Toronto will open its doors to fans tomorrow.
It's emotional, it really is. It makes me cry happy tears just thinking about everyone coming here tomorrow.
There's no place like home. We're so excited to be back here. We're all looking forward to the game tomorrow.
First game at Rogers Centre since September 29th, 2019. 15,000 fans will be allowed in to watch. Tickets went on sale last week and sold out in just minutes. Ticketing has gone fully digital, and all food or drink purchases will be done by card only. Masks are required. There will be physical distancing and screening for symptoms before entry. The Blue Jays take on the Kansas City Royals tomorrow night. First pitch is just after 7. And will rain greet the boys of summer when they return, Colin?
They're actually going to have some very nice conditions. It's a little bit breezy tomorrow, Dwight, in the early part of the day, but by tomorrow evening, things will be looking good. I am calling it the home opener because they're finally really home, right, in terms of what we're looking at. By about that time, just after 7, mostly sunny skies, 18 degrees in terms of the temperature. So things will be looking pretty good for the boys of summer. All right, I want to show you the contrast that we are getting into with this holiday weekend when we look across not just the country, but across the continent here. So when you see the yellows and greens, these are cooler temperatures below seasonal, and then we're going to be seeing, and they're already beginning to experience it, the extreme heat. Lots of heat warnings in place into Western Canada, but it's that seesaw. So we have this trough here. Not only does it mean the temperatures are cooler, but it's a more active path because the jet stream kind of pulls the systems in here and sort of steers them our way, and that's why we have the instability and get into the showers every few days. And looking ahead, even towards about Monday, we'll start to see the temperatures rebounding. It's really Tuesday, Wednesday till we get back closer towards seasonal with our temps. So that is the pattern we have for the holiday weekend. The current conditions look like this, with your temperature 21 in Oshawa, 25 though for Toronto. We've still had some moisture content there, even though the rain's gone, so the humidity values, humidex are still up there, 30, even 33 for Toronto in terms of what we're seeing. Because of some colder air moving in, there is a chance still of some pop-ups as we go into the evening and overnight hours. The models want to pull more in. I'll show you in just a moment. This is the radar where that batch of rain from early in the day has gone off to the southeast. So it's really pulling a lot in tonight. I think we'll see a few spotty showers, and it's much more likely into cottage country, but just be aware of that. Into tomorrow morning, a bit of cloud cover, then we'll see nice clearing, so we get into that sunshine. Saturday holiday, maybe tagged, certainly into cottage country and around the 407, we'll see some rain in the afternoon, but then really it's not until the evening hours it starts to come into the GTA, and then we'll have some intermittent rain showers as we go into Sunday as well. I mentioned some of the stronger northwesterly winds for tomorrow. It's really going to have a different feel to the day as our temperatures are going to be below seasonal. Overnight tonight, your readings, yeah, not bad for sleeping, and that we're going to have a struggle there to get to that 20 degrees for our daytime high for tomorrow. We should be, Dwight, at about 27.
A little seasonal there. Thank you, Colette.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Drivers making left-hand turns are a common cause of injuries for both cyclists and pedestrians in our city. It's a problem Toronto is addressing with a new pilot project. It hopes a small change at certain intersections will make a big difference. Paula Duhacek explains.
This rubber speed bump doesn't look like much, but the City of Toronto hopes it will make drivers go slower and more carefully when making a left-hand turn. It works by hardening the center line of the intersection so drivers don't cut across it.
You know, people tend to speed.
Scarborough North Councillor Cynthia Lai says people in her ward are excited about the change.
Might not be as convenient, you know, when you're driving, you have to go through some of these hurdles. But I think all in all, I think it's good for the community to ensure that we have less fatality and injuries in the community.
The east intersection of Finch Avenue and Sandhurst Circle is one of 8 that will get the speed bumps this summer as part of a pilot project. And while the speed bumps are a new sight in Toronto, New York has had them for years. They've led to a 20% reduction in pedestrian injuries at intersections where they've been installed.
It's such a simple treatment. It's not removing lanes of traffic. You're not changing the signal timing. You're not building some piece of concrete in the middle of the road. You wouldn't think it could be that effective, but so I was surprised and happily surprised.
Back in Scarborough, cyclist Kevin Rupasinghe says the speed bumps are a good step.
There's plenty of times where I have wished that there were measures to keep drivers turning slower and better able to see me, and I'm really confident that we'll see those results with this type of measure.
Rupasinghe thinks the speed bumps are already making a difference at this intersection. He'd like to see them installed at many more.
And really, there's hundreds of intersections on these major streets that are quite dangerous.
Mayor John Tory says he'll consider it.
We're going to try these at 8 different intersections where the numbers show us there have been a higher number of collisions and fatalities, and see the difference it makes, and then look at expanding it across the city.
Rupasinghe hopes that happens sooner rather than later. For now, he'll be biking through at least one intersection a bit more easily. Paula Duhacek, CBC News, Toronto.
CBC News has learned that an advisory council is considering a request to remove former Governor General Julie Payette from the Order of Canada. Rideau Hall received that request from a member of the public shortly after Payette resigned 6 months ago. It's after an external review found Payette presided over a toxic workplace that prompted many employees to quit Rideau Hall. Payette, an engineer, scientist, and former astronaut, served as Governor General from 2017 until this past January. Since the Order of Canada was established in 1967, only 7 people have been expelled. How do you plant 1 billion trees in the next 7 years? One Toronto-based tech company is looking to the skies for the answer. Flash Forest is using a fleet of aerial drones which have been designed to plant trees 10 times faster than human planters, and those drones have already managed to plant several thousand trees across Ontario and Canada. I caught up with one of their co-founders to talk about how it all works.
So at Flash Forest, we essentially use drones to plant trees. We have multiple types of drones that we use, and we've developed in our warehouse and in our laboratory these proprietary seed pods. So in them we have seeds that we basically put into our drones. We fire them into the ground so that they germinate and become trees.
I know people watching, the first thing they're saying is drones are planting trees. How would that work? So you said that you fire them into the ground. What fires them into the ground? How does it work? So you put the pods in here maybe?
Yeah, so this is our pneumatic firing device. Yep. Basically, we put them into this hopper here. This one hold about 500. Yep. And then this gun, which is triggered basically from our software, it fires them at about 180 feet per second.
It looks like a gun, yeah.
Yeah.
And that just fires them into the ground?
Yeah, and our pods need to get about 1/4 to 1/2 inch into the soil, then they're good.
I mean, how did you develop this technology? Who came up with this?
Yeah, so originally this was my brother's idea.
Yep.
And he called me when I was in government, and I was there for 5 years. I quit, I moved to Toronto. We met some engineers right away. We met a seed geneticist who helped us work on our pods, and we had a lot of luck on our side.
What have you been able to achieve in the couple of years you've been doing this now?
Well, I'll give you an example. When we first started, our first milestone was 3,000 pods. We were patting ourselves on the back for that. The next spring we did 30,000, and now we're coming off the heels of 350,000 that we just planted across Canada.
We are seeing a lot of forest fires in Canada, in fact, right across North America right now. How will the work that these drones do impact in the aftermath of these fires then?
It's a good question. I mean, we actually just went to Fort McMurray, which burned 5 years ago.
I remember, yeah.
And those sites are heavily cleared after a forest fire. And so what we want to do is fly over that canopy, fire our pods into the soil as soon as we can after a forest fire to reestablish that forest before the undergrowth comes, and speed is our game.
You know, I'm actually reading the 6th Extinction right now, and it talks about the need for forests and what we're doing to them. How important is this work to the future of our planet, you think?
I think this plays an important role amongst many other pieces of technology that are trying to combat climate change. I think right now we are in the midst of the 6th extinction and in the midst of a climate emergency. And so we want to plant 1 billion trees by 2028, and I don't think any of us are going to rest until we get there. I mean, our trees and our forests are indispensable, whether it's preventing climate change, protecting soil from erosion, providing our oxygen. We need forests, and I think the public in general is more and more enthusiastic now about protecting our forests and restoring our forests than ever before. So I'm encouraged, but I also feel like there is an incredible amount of work to be done.
Well, what do you see as the future for this company, this startup you've created?
Well, it's pretty ambitious. Like I said, we want to plant 1 billion trees by 2028. We want to be operating throughout Canada and throughout pretty much every country on the planet that has forests. So next year we're going to the Netherlands, we're planting in the European Union, we're going to Hawaii this fall, and then we're hoping to go to Brazil and plant in the Amazon potentially next year as well.
There's a whole bunch of Canadian university kids whose summer jobs were doing what, Cameron? Planting trees.
They were.
Your drones are taking away the gig, man.
You know, those same summer students are working for us now. So our CEO is an ex-tree planter, our other co-founder is a tree planter, many of our engineers were tree planters. I mean, these are some of the hardest workers you can find. And we also feel there's going to be a huge need for human tree planters as well. We're a part of the puzzle, and we want to hire tree planters as much as we can.
And we'll finish with one for the skeptics. People are like, seriously, this gun from up there can fire into the ground and I have a tree come out of the ground? Are you sure this technology works?
We've already validated it. We actually have got our results back now from British Columbia, both Vancouver and Vancouver Island. And yeah, we're having a lot of success, even despite the heat wave we just had, especially with Western red cedars, Douglas firs. We've proved it in the field, and now we just want to perfect it and scale it.
We have come a long way from the lowly shovel and digging a hole and put it in the ground. Congratulations, man. And it's incredible technology. It really is. It's really fascinating. Thank you for your time, Cameron. And it's ours, Colette, see?
I know, it's kind of awesome, isn't it?
Very cool, yeah.
I love it. Speaking of, you said the magic word, cool. We have some cooler air that's going to be moving in. Now, Friday is kind of going to be the peak low point, I guess I'd say, with the daytime highs, those maximums well below seasonal for Friday. Then we'll rebound a tiny bit for the holiday weekend and be looking better by Monday. And to get back to seasonal, not till about Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Some of these intermittent rain showers and thunderstorms mostly into eastern Ontario. Still a chance, though, of getting a few isolated ones. Not as great a chance for the GTA, but overnight tonight through cottage country. Tomorrow, a few clouds early, but then we should get into a lot of sunshine. It's just the breeze is going to be from the northwest, and that's going to change how things have felt. Humidity down as well. So up to 20 degrees for your Friday, then Saturday, Sunday. By the way, as I've been mentioning, Saturday, it's mostly later day that rain moves into tomorrow and into Sunday where it's intermittent, Dwight.
Thank you, Colette.
You're welcome.
That is our show for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Kelda Yoon has your next local newscast. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 6. Have a great night, everybody.